throughout the day. Scientists in China have found that air pollution dramatically reduces people's mental abilities. The researchers analysed the results of language and arithmetic tests carried out across China between 2010 and 2014, and then compared them with data on air pollution. They found that the longer people were exposed to dirty air, the bigger the damage to their intelligence. But, as we all know, air pollution is not just a problem in China. The World Health Organization estimates that 7 million people die every year as a result of exposure to poor air quality. India alone has 14 of the top 20 worst polluted cities in the world. And it's thought that 91% of people worldwide live in places where the air quality doesn't meet WHO-approved standards. With me to discuss this is Jonathan Grigg. He is a professor of respiratory medicine and a member of the campaigning group Doctors Against Diesel. Well, we knew about pollution. We knew how bad it was for respiratory illnesses and things like this, but this is new to many people, the idea that it can damage our cognitive function.
Absolutely.
Did you know about this already, or did these results surprise you too?
We had known about the association for some time, and there's association between air pollution and reduced brain growth in infants, behavioural effects in early childhood, and then in America effects on the normal decline in cognition as you age. So we've known that, but what we're looking for is these associations to be seen in a whole range of different countries so that we can be sure that they're causal. So this study is really important because it's a big study, it's in China, and it's done well. Can
you simply explain for us what pollutants do to us?
Well, they have a whole range of effects across the life course. We've focused very much on the tiny sooty particles, for example. We breathe them in, some come out, but a lot of them stick around in the tissues of the lung. We know that they reduce lung growth in children. New onset asthma is associated with that. Later on, non-smoking lung cancer. And then we have all these cardiovascular effects that you've described leading to early deaths. So it really has effect across the life course. And of course, if you're growing up in a polluted environment, they're going to be additive.
I mean, for our viewers, that's a crucial thing because, of course, this study was done in China. But would you expect the results to be comparable in other cities? I mean, here we are in London. You might have come from Oxford Circus. It's one of the most polluted places in the country.
Absolutely. There are hotspots, very high levels of particles of nitrogen dioxide here, even here in London. Yes, I think that it is a link. We can draw conclusions which are related to other cities. We don't think there are any differences between the sooty particle effects in China and the sooty particle effects here in London, even though they're emitted by different sources. And similarly for the gases, they're the same effects. Obviously in China, they're very much higher levels of exposure. But as we know, there is no safe limit, and as we reduce, for example, here, reduce exposure by half, we'll see benefits on lung function and what this study would show on cognition too.
So this study is adding to this growing body of evidence about the effects of pollutants. And do you feel like governments are starting to take it seriously and starting to listen?
Well, they certainly are listening, and they know the effects. I mean, how much more data do we need? It's very clear that it has very profound effects. I think that the speed at which governments are moving to reduce exposure, especially in my field in children, is worryingly slow because we want to protect this generation of children from those effects and not necessarily wait for another 2 generations. So we're frustrated as doctors that we're not reducing individual exposure as quickly enough, and the solutions in some areas are to, for example, remove the toxic diesel from our roads. In other areas, of course, in China, it will be related to industrial pollution.
Professor Grigg, good to have you with us. Thanks.